You're always so busy with that job of yours. A strange sense of clarity settles over me, cool and steady, like a window suddenly thrown open in a suffocating room. My voice, when it finally comes, is quieter than I expect, almost gentle despite the weight behind it. You never asked me. You made sure I couldn't come. The silence that follows hangs heavy in the air, thick and undeniable, carrying the weight of a confession no one is willing to speak aloud. This isn't the first time, is it? I continue, the realization spreading through me like a deepening bruise, tender and unavoidable. All those family trips I only ever heard about afterward. Holiday celebrations conveniently arranged when I was, as they always said, unfortunately working. The pattern stretches further back than I can fully trace, winding through years of small exclusions disguised as coincidence. Mom steps toward me, her hand reaching out as if she can smooth everything over with a touch. "Honey, you're overreacting. Let's sit down and—" I place the cruise documents carefully on the entry table, the paper whispering against the polished surface. Without raising my voice, without slamming a single door, I pick up my overnight bag and step out into the cool evening air. Behind me, my mother's voice calls my name, sharp with urgency. But for the first time in 28 years, I keep walking. I don't turn back. 30 minutes later, my apartment feels unnaturally silent after the confrontation at my parents' house. The stillness presses against my ears. I drop my overnight bag onto the couch and lower myself cross-legged onto the floor, surrounded by photo albums and shoeboxes of memories dragged from the back of my closet. The carpet scratches faintly against my bare legs as I arrange everything in a wide semicircle around me, artifacts of a life I am suddenly seeing with unfamiliar clarity. The first album falls open to Christmas 2018. Harper beams as she unwraps a MacBook. Cody grins beside his first car, used but still worth thousands. And there I am, holding up a scarf from Target, the $19.99 price tag still dangling from the fabric. My smile in the photograph looks sincere. I remember believing then that it was all they could afford. I turn the pages slowly, studying years of vacation photos and noticing a pattern I somehow overlooked for 28 years. Family trip to Yellowstone. Sorry, Rain, someone needs to water the plants. Disney World. Your internship is that week, remember? Weekend in Napa. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway, honey. Each explanation once sounded reasonable. Now they echo like rehearsed lines. My phone vibrates beside me. A message from Mom appears on the screen. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. As if deliberate exclusion could simply be mistaken perception. I silence the phone and pull my laptop closer, opening a spreadsheet labeled monthly budget. Scrolling through past entries, I highlight every transfer to my parents' account. $350, April. Dad's insulin costs increased. $1,400, June. Hospital copay for Dad's diabetes. $800, August. Mom's car transmission. $2,800 last month, family emergency fund. The last entry strikes hardest. That was my Lake Tahoe savings, money they knew I had been carefully setting aside, tracking every extra design project, skipping lunches out, working freelance on weekends. They accepted it while holding cruise tickets bearing everyone's name except mine. A memory surfaces unbidden. Age 7, watching Harper practice skills with her vocal coach while I sat at the kitchen table coloring. "Can I take piano lessons too?" I had asked. "We can't afford 2 children in music lessons, Rain. Maybe next year." Next year never came. Yet 6 months later, Cody began guitar lessons. More memories rush forward. Age 13, crying at the kitchen table after learning I couldn't join the 8th grade science trip to the Oregon coast. $400 is too much right now, Dad had said gently. 3 weeks later, he surprised Cody with a father-son camping trip costing twice as much. College years followed the same script. I worked 3 jobs while my siblings had rent paid and insurance covered. "You're just so independent," Mom would say with pride. "We know you can handle it." My phone rings again, Harper this time. I answer despite myself. "Rain, this is ridiculous. You're making Mom cry." "I found the cruise documents, Harper." "It's not what you think," she replies quickly, her voice polished, rehearsed. "We meant to invite you, but Mom said you'd understand. You always do." Those final words linger in the silence between us. "Not anymore," I whisper before ending the call. I walk to my bedroom closet and retrieve a small box from the top shelf. Inside sits a shrink-wrapped jewelry-making kit identical to the one I begged for on my 9th birthday, the same kit Mom said was too expensive, before buying Harper her 3rd American Girl doll the following week. I purchased this kit for myself last year on Etsy for $35. I've kept it sealed ever since, a silent reminder of something I never fully named until now. My phone lights up with a text from Cody. "This is BS, Rain. We've always included you." Another message follows quickly. "You're being dramatic." Then a third. "Fine, how much do you want to let this go?" I set the phone face down just as the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Melissa holding a bottle of wine and takeout containers. My best friend since college, the only person who has watched me rush to solve every family crisis for years. When I open the door, she studies my face carefully. I figured you might need backup, she says. You look awful. I found out my family has been deliberately excluding me from things for most of my life, I reply, attempting casualness and failing, nothing major. She steps inside, sets everything down, and pulls me into a fierce embrace that nearly breaks me. About time you noticed, she murmurs. Rain, I've watched you sacrifice for them for years. Last Christmas, you spent a month's salary on gifts and got socks in return. They call you for money, childcare, emotional support, but when have they ever shown up for you? I have no answer. A voicemail from Dad appears on my phone. Your mother's very upset. You're being ungrateful after all we've done for you. All they've done for me, I reply softly, a hollow laugh escaping. Later that week, my coworker James brings me coffee after noticing my distraction. My Karen's played favorites too, he says quietly. It messes with your mind, makes you think you're the problem. That afternoon, I sit in Dr. Eleanor Warren's office, explaining everything. What you're describing, she says gently, is a lifelong pattern. This isn't normal family behavior, Rain. I always thought I was overreacting, I admit. You weren't. And now you get to choose how to respond.
Back home, surrounded by evidence of years of unequal treatment, I make a decision. I text Melissa. I'm done being convenient. For the first time, the words feel entirely true. 4 days later, my phone rings for the 14th time that day. Uncle Jerry this time, someone I barely speak to. His voicemail sounds scripted. Rainy girl, your mother is worried sick. Family disagreements happen, but you can't just disappear. Call her back. I add his number to my growing block list. Mom has enlisted the extended family, Aunt Patricia yesterday, Cousin Megan before that, each repeating the same message. Forgive, forget, family first, you're overreacting. The doorbell rings again. Through the peephole, I see Dad shifting awkwardly, a paper bag in his hands. My finger hovers over the lock. We haven't shared a real conversation in years, only surface exchanges about weather and his health. Now he wants to talk? I step away from the door. After 20 minutes, his car pulls away. Later, I find a bag outside containing my favorite childhood cookies and a card reading, "We need to talk. I miss you." The handwriting is Mom's. At work, an email from Harper circulates among mutual friends expressing concern about my behavior, claiming I'm ignoring family and acting unstable. I forward it to Dr. Warren with the subject line, Exhibit C. Her reply arrives within the hour. This is called flying monkeys, a common tactic to preserve dysfunctional family systems. When Cody appears in our office lobby that Thursday, reception texts me a warning. I slip out the back, but he intercepts me in the parking lot. You can't avoid me forever, he says. I'm not avoiding you. I'm refusing to see you. There's a difference. He accuses me of tearing the family apart, of making Mom lose sleep. A bitter laugh escapes me. I didn't plan a cruise without you, I reply. We've been planning it for 8 months, he admits. 8 months. The words hit with brutal force. I canceled my Lake Tahoe trip exactly 8 months earlier because the family needed my savings. You planned your cruise while telling me money was tight? I ask. You always help, he says defensively. It's what you do. Clarity washes over me. I was never truly part of the family. I was the backup plan, the safety net, the ATM. That's not fair, he protests. No, I agree calmly as I unlock my car. It wasn't. That evening, I contact my cell provider and change my number. When asked if I'm experiencing harassment, I answer simply, family. The representative understands without further explanation. The next morning, I visit the bank and close the joint account my parents had accessed since my college years. 17 withdrawals in the past year, none made by me. I transfer the remaining funds and request a new card. When an invitation to Harper's anniversary party arrives, I mark unavailable and mail it back immediately. The family 4th of July picnic receives the same response. I create an automatic email reply stating I am currently unavailable. With each boundary, my chest feels lighter. That night, I book a round-trip ticket to Barcelona. I've always wanted to see Gaudi's architecture. The confirmation page glows on my screen, and for the first time in months, I smile, a genuine smile that reaches my eyes. I retrieve a cardboard box from beneath my bed filled with childhood photos, report cards never displayed, ribbons from events no one attended. I place it on the highest shelf of my closet, not discarded, but no longer constantly visible. The next day, I purchase a silver pendant at a jewelry store downtown, something I had admired for years but always denied myself. The weight of it against my collarbone feels grounding. When the sales associate offers to wrap it, I ask to wear it immediately. During my next session, Dr. Warren notices the necklace. This isn't revenge, she explains. This is reclamation. You're reclaiming what has always been yours. The following week, when my phone rings with an unfamiliar number, I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Rain? Harper's voice sounds panicked. Thank God. Your number was disconnected and I had to call everyone to find you. The babysitter canceled and I'm still on the cruise. Can you take the kids tomorrow?
It's an emergency. I'm unavailable, I say, using the same words I've written on every RSV card. But I'm unavailable, I repeat, and end the call. The next day, Melissa and I are sharing lunch when another unknown number appears. Cody this time, voice tight with stress. My car broke down. The repair shop wants $800. Can you transfer it to my account? I'll pay you back next month. I'm unavailable, I say, and hang up before he can respond. The final call comes 3 days later while I'm booking a food tour in Barcelona. Mom's voice wavers between anger and panic. The mortgage payment is due tomorrow and we're short. Your father's medical bills this month were higher than expected. We just need a little help like you've always done. I watch a video of La Sagrada Familia while she speaks. The cathedral has been under construction for over a century, yet stands magnificent even in its incompletion. I'm unavailable, I say. The silence on the other end stretches until I think she might have hung up. Then, in a small voice I've never heard before, she asks, "What are we supposed to do without you?" The question contains the truth they've never acknowledged. They need me far more than I need them. Figure it out, I say, and press the red button on my screen. I stare at the Gaudi-designed ceiling in the video, its organic shapes reaching skyward like a forest made of stone. I count the days until my flight. I count the days until I walk those halls myself, alone but not lonely, carrying nothing but what I choose to bring. For the first time in my life, the weight of family obligation lifts from my shoulders, and I stand straight and tall. A week after the cruise, my phone buzzes with the 23rd text message since breakfast. I glance at the screen, Gaudi again, before silencing it completely. They return from Alaska, and the desperation in their messages grows by the day. We need to talk about what happened. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof because of this. Can you at least tell us you're alive? I set my phone face down on my desk, noticing how my pulse no longer races when their names flash across my screen. The smallest victories still feel monumental. My coworker James glances over from his monitor. Family still blowing up your phone? Like clockwork, I reply, turning back to my design project. They just finished a luxury cruise and they manipulated me out of my vacation money to help fund. Now they're shocked I won't respond to their messages. James whistles low. And they seriously expected you to just forget about it? They expected me to forgive it, like I always do. Later that evening, Melissa flops onto my couch with 2 glasses of wine.
Harper called me today, said she's spending a fortune on professional childcare since you vanished. I accept the glass, feeling a twinge of something, not guilt, but surprise at its absence. How terrible for her to pay for a service the rest of us have to pay for. She also mentioned your mom is planning some kind of family emergency to lure you back. My laugh comes so suddenly it startles us both. Of course she is. Emergency is her love language. The following morning, an unfamiliar number lights up my screen. Against better judgment, I answer. Rain? My Aunt Deb's voice trembles. Thank goodness. Your mother said you might be having a breakdown. She asked me to check if you're okay. The manipulation is so transparent it borders on comical. I'm fine, Aunt Deb. Better than I've been in years, actually. Oh. Confusion colors her voice. Then why aren't you returning anyone's calls? Your father tried that old guilt trick he used when you were little. You know, the one about teaching you to ride a bike? I smile, remembering the voicemail where he mentioned the bike lessons he never actually completed. How he pushed me down our steep driveway and walked away when I crashed, calling it learning independence. Meanwhile, Harper learned with his hand steady on her seat the entire time. Tell them I'm unavailable, I say simply. 4 days later, Harper's text arrives. The kids are devastated without Aunt Rain. Max cried himself to sleep asking for you. The same Max who sees me 3 times yearly at most. The same nephew who called me Rain Lady last Christmas because he'd forgotten my name. Cody's approach shifts from casual requests to barely contained fury. Mom and Dad might be walking on eggshells around you, but I'm not. Some sister you turned out to be. My car payment is due Monday. Uncle Pete's annual family barbecue arrives, the gathering I've never missed in 15 years. I send my regrets this year. My cousin Jamie calls the next day. It was the strangest thing, she says. Your empty chair became this presence everyone kept glancing at. Aunt Susan made excuses about where you were until Uncle Pete asked straight out what happened. What did she say? She tried the Rain's just busy with work line, but then your dad mentioned something about a cruise and Aunt Catherine asked why you weren't invited. Jamie's voice drops to a whisper. The whole place went silent. Catherine was furious, said she'd never exclude one of her kids like that. Others agreed. Your mom left early with a migraine. The image makes me smile as I glance around my apartment.
The walls, once rental beige, now glow with the deep coral I've always loved, but Mom called too attention-seeking. Abstract art I've chosen hangs where family photos once dominated. My promotion letter sits framed on my desk, the one I earned after finally having evenings free to work on the portfolio I'd postponed for years of family emergencies. My banking app pings. Another automatic savings deposit completed. Without the constant loans to my family, the numbers grow steadily each month. I finally scheduled that trip to Spain. The confirmation sits in my inbox like a promise kept to myself. The doorbell rings on a Tuesday evening. Through the peephole, I see Mom standing there, her umbrella dripping, eyes red-rimmed. For a moment, my finger hovers over the lock, old habits rising like floodwater. I open the door but block the entrance. "Rain," her voice breaks. "Thank God. We've been so worried." I wait, saying nothing. "We're going to lose the house." The words tumbled between sobs. "The second mortgage, your father's medical bills. Please help us one last time." Her hand reaches for mine, familiar in its expectation of compliance. But something has shifted inside me, tectonic plates rearranging my inner landscape. If I were the one standing here, I ask quietly, jobless, broke, desperate, would you take me in? The question hangs between us. Mom's mouth opens, closes, opens again, but no sound emerges. Her silence answers more honestly than words ever could. I nod once, understanding completely. Then I gently close the door. 2 days later, after the terrible encounter with my mother, the hostess at Bellini's leads me to the back of the restaurant. My heart thuds against my ribs when I spot them. Mom, Dad, Harper, and Cody, all seated at my favorite corner booth beneath the stained glass window. The same booth where we celebrated my college graduation 6 years ago. The only family celebration that was ever about me. "Right on time," Mom says, with a brittle smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Melissa squeezes my elbow before sliding into the booth beside me, her presence a silent declaration that I won't face this alone. The manila folder in my hands feels heavier than it should. Dad clears his throat. "We appreciate you agreeing to meet with us, Rain." His voice carries the formal tone he reserves for bank managers and car salesmen. "Though you could have come alone," Harper adds, glancing pointedly at Melissa. Cody leans forward, elbows on the table. "We need to put this whole misunderstanding behind us. The family isn't the same without you." They take turns speaking, their words flowing with practiced precision. Dad reminds me how they paid for braces when I was 12 and bought me a used car for high school graduation. Mom dabs at invisited tears. Her voice trembles as she recounts the sacrifices they've made for this family. Harper and Cody alternate between guilt trips and appeals to family loyalty, their words overlapping in a choreographic dance. I wait until they finish, my fingers tracing the edge of the folder. Their speeches hang in the air like stale perfume. "May I speak now?" My voice comes out steadier than I expected. 4 pairs of eyes blink in surprise. I've never asked permission to speak before. I open the folder and place a spreadsheet on the table. This is a record of every financial contribution I've made to this family over the past decade, totaling $37,842. I tap the bottom figure. That includes the $2,800 I gave you for Dad's medical bills, the same week you paid for your Alaska cruise. Mom's hand flies to her throat. "That's not—" I'm not finished. For the first time in my life, I interrupt her. The restaurant seems to grow quieter around us. I lay down a timeline next, handwritten on graph paper. Here's a record of family vacations, holiday gatherings, and celebrations going back 15 years. The highlighted dates are events I wasn't invited to or was told were canceled due to money concerns. Yellow highlighter covers nearly half the page. And this, I continue, placing a photograph on the table, is the jewelry-making kit I begged for when I was 9. The one that was too expensive at $35. I bought it myself last year. I keep it sealed as a reminder. My voice doesn't rise, doesn't crack, yet somehow it fills the space between us, stronger than their rehearsed speeches and louder than their demands. Other diners have fallen silent.
A waiter hovers nearby, unsure whether to approach. Mom stares at the papers, her makeup-perfect face draining of color. Dad shifts in his seat, tugging at his collar. Harper studies her hands. Only Cody meets my eyes, his expression hardening. So what? Dad suddenly slams his palm on the table, making silverware jump. "We've always done everything for you. You've never appreciated everything we've sacrificed." The outburst draws stares from nearby tables. I feel Melissa tense beside me, but I remain calm. "Then it should be easy," I say softly, "to name 3 things you've done for me that you didn't do for Harper or Cody. Just 3. Just 3. The silence that follows stretches so long I can hear the kitchen staff calling orders. Dad opens his mouth, closes it. Mom's face crumples, not in the controlled way she uses to manipulate, but in genuine distress as realization dawns. A tear smudges her mascara, something I've never seen before. Harper's eyes widen as she glances between our parents, seeing their failure to answer what should be a simple question. Cody slumps back against the booth, the fight draining from him. I don't hate any of you, I say, gathering my documents back into the folder, but I can't keep pretending. If there's ever going to be a real relationship between us, things need to change. I pull out a final sheet of paper and place it in the center of the table. These are my terms. Family therapy, at least 6 sessions before I'll consider attending any gatherings. Complete financial independence. No more loans or contributions either way. A public acknowledgement of how I've been treated, and a genuine apology. And time. I need space to heal. Mom reaches for my hand, but stops midway when I don't extend mine to meet hers. You can't just dictate terms to your family, Dad protests, but his voice lacks conviction. I'm not dictating. I'm protecting myself. I slide out of the booth, Melissa following. Take time to think about it. My number hasn't changed. As we walk towards the exit, I feel lighter than I have in years. Behind us, I hear my mother's quiet sobs and my father's awkward attempts at comfort. Harper calls my name once, but doesn't follow. Outside in the evening air, Melissa squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I take a deep breath, surprised to find I'm not shaking. Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I think I actually am. The stars above Portland shine brighter tonight, as if they too are surprised by my newfound strength. And I need to prepare for my Barcelona trip soon. This time, I finally chose myself. Months later, I am preparing my first Thanksgiving with my chosen family. I straighten the cornucopia centerpiece on my dining table, adjusting the fall-colored napkins one last time. The aroma of roasting turkey and apple pie fills my new home, my real home, purchased 3 months ago with the promotion money I'd once earmarked for family emergencies. The doorbell chimes, and I open it to find Melissa balancing a casserole dish, her husband Tom carrying wine. Happy Thanksgiving. She wraps me in a one-armed hug that feels like sunshine. Within the hour, my table brims with people who chose to be here. James from work and his partner Daniel, my neighbor Mrs. Winters who lost her husband last spring, Dr. Warren who insisted I called her Eleanor outside our therapy sessions, and 3 others from my boundary support group. The conversation flows between laughter and thoughtful pauses, no one speaking over others or dismissing anyone's stories. Before we eat, I announce, lifting my glass, I want to thank you all for showing me what family can be. My gaze drifts to the sealed jewelry kit displayed on my bookshelf. What once represented deprivation now stands as testament to growth. Later, Eleanor helps me load the dishwasher, her practice movement speaking to years of post-holiday cleanups. 42 sessions, she says, handing me a rinsed plate. That's how many we've had. I nod, remembering our first meeting after the cruise revelation. The nightmares have stopped, and the money habit? Haven't checked my parents' bank account in 8 months. The compulsion to monitor their finances have been harder to break than I'd expected. Eleanor smiles. Your mother mentioned you in our session Tuesday. My mother started therapy 4 months after our confrontation at Gianni's restaurant. Harper joined her sessions occasionally, working through her own realization that she was recreating our family patterns with her children. She's trying, Eleanor continues. Your father still refuses to come. And Cody, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Entitlement is a powerful drug. The doorbell interrupts us. James appears in the kitchen doorway holding an envelope. Mail carrier just delivered this, said it needs a signature. The cream-colored envelope bears my mother's distinctive handwriting. Inside, I find an invitation to their 40th anniversary celebration next month. Unlike previous family events, this one includes a handwritten note. We would love to have you join us, but understand if you prefer not to. Please let us know what works for you. Mom. No guilt, no assumptions, no demands. Progress, Eleanor murmurs beside me. 3 years ago, I would have immediately rearranged my schedule. Last year, I would have refused outright. Today, I set the invitation on my counter, deciding to consider it thoughtfully when I'm alone. Tuesday evenings now belong to the youth center where I volunteer, helping young adults navigate family dynamics similar to mine. Last week, a quiet 19-year-old named Ashley brought in a childhood toy her parents had repeatedly promised but never delivered. Buy it for yourself, I told her, then decide whether to keep it sealed as a reminder or open it as reclamation. This morning, I finally opened my jewelry kit. The turquoise beads caught the light as I strung them into a necklace. Not perfect, but entirely mine. My guests depart with warm hugs and leftovers in containers they'll actually return. The house quiets. I stand by my living room window, fingering my handmade necklace, while watching the sunset paint the sky in colors that promise tomorrow. For the first time in 29 years, I look forward rather than back.